Miami at Texas A&M, noon Eastern, ABC, ESPN, Texas A&M, a 3.5-point favorite. David, first question again. Can either of these teams win it all?
This is like, I'm going to be nice and say yes, because, again, both these teams passed the eye test with flying colors. You watch them and you're like, oh, yeah, like there's no one that they're going to line up against where you're like, they can't win this game. However, Miami has lost to some average teams, and Texas A&M, like, the schedule is a blaring alarm flashing me in the face. All those teams that they played, basically the entire bottom half of the SEC. And then they played a pretty average Texas team on the road, and they were outplayed in that game. That
I was
wasn't
there.
an upset. Like Miami, when they lost, it's whatever. It's a close game, but I don't know how much they necessarily
I was at the loss
fully
to
outplayed.
SMU too.
Yeah, would you say they got outplayed
lose.
in the game? I don't know that I would necessarily say that.
I'd say that game was pretty even, but if a pass interference flag is not picked up, they win that game, and we don't even have the drama of it all.
Yeah,
I think
the upside with both of these teams is there. So I'll be nice and say yes, but if you're looking at me, like, in terms of the best teams that I don't trust at all, it's these two teams. Like, I believe
that
these
too.
Like, if either of these two teams lose a playoff game at some point by 20 plus points, I would not be shocked at all.
So, college football is about what you are in the trenches. And both these teams are very good in the trenches. A&M is number 1 in the country in sacks per game. Miami's 16th. Miami's also number 8th in fewest sacks allowed, and A&M is 11th. So I think this is going to be an absolute battle, a war in the trenches. Cassius Howell going up against that Miami line. Ruben Bain for Miami going up against the A&M line. That's going to be a lot of fun to see these teams really slug it out. Now let's start with A&M. They have been dealing with some injuries in the second half of the season here. Le'Veon Moss has been out for a while. Scooby Williams, the linebacker, and safety Bryce Anderson as well. Mike Elko said last week that, like, they're doing great. We don't know what that means. There will be, by the way, an injury report before the playoff game. But as of right now, we don't know the status of everybody. Mario Craver's been hurt. He's been playing, but he's been hurt, the receiver. So we'll see on that front. I mean, this is an A&M team. We thought that they were just going to pound the ball and really run it to a lot of success this year. And it hasn't really quite gone that way. Like, they've been pretty explosive in the past game. Casey Concepcion transfer has been very good. Craver's been very good. But with Marcel Reed, he's always good for like a bad turnover or two per game. And you don't want
4
those
in the case of South Carolina.
And you don't want those in the bad spot. That's how you fall behind 30-3 against South Carolina. And I believe A&M's last 2 Power 4 games were the South Carolina comeback and the loss to Texas. So they haven't been against good competition. They're not playing as well as they were at other points in the year. A team that went to Notre Dame and won early in the season. What do you think about the Aggies?
I'm curious if Miami can make the state trooper at South Carolina like an honorary captain for this game. But I like the A&M crowd here. I think that's going to be a big difference maker. I think this is one of those places that you're going to see, hey, you earned home field, and I think it can make a huge difference for you here. The Aggies, like, you want to believe in them, but they gave you a lot of evidence late in the season to question that schedule. And, like, the South Carolina game, if that was a one-off, you could say, like, well, everybody has a bad day. But then, like, I was not a believer much in Texas this year. And for them to lose that game in pretty resounding fashion.
Yep.
Like, I already was kind of looking side-eye at them after the South Carolina game. But to follow it up with that in a game against your rival, where obviously you're trying to beat them for the first time in 15-something years and get to Atlanta, you got everything to play for in front of you, and you just don't play very well, and you lose to a Texas team you're better than, which I think is important. That tells me a lot about your makeup. But it is notable that I think this is a game that's the crowd in Aggie Land can be a huge difference.
Before I get to Miami, Texas A&M this year, special teams have not been good. They've been getting kicks blocked, punts and kicks. It's not been great. And the defense has just 3 interceptions on the year. So they're not forcing a ton of turnovers, which is like now Miami. David, do you know where Miami has gone outside the state of Florida this year?
Notre Dame was at home. They played in Dallas.
They have gone outside the state of Florida 3 times. One of
Okay.
which was to SMU. I was there. They lost. One of which was to Virginia Tech, which they won, but it wasn't pretty. And then the other was the finale at Pitt. They played very well and won 38-7 in a very cold environment. So when you think of like the Miami Dolphins and every time they go on the road, especially up north, and they fall apart because it's too cold, Miami's been kind of hit and miss there, but they haven't played at a place like Texas A&M, like SMU, Virginia Tech with a fired coach, and Pitt on Thanksgiving weekend. Like they have not been in. They also went to Florida State earlier in the year, but again, that's renovated stadium and stuff. It's not at all what Texas A&M is going to be. How is Carson Beck going to handle that? When they lose, he commits turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
That has been the problem. Bad throws. He had the interception in overtime at SMU. He had a couple of turnovers against Louisville in that loss. So we'll see. In Miami's not favor, but something that could help is that the weather here looks nice. It's going to be high as 74. Might be
That's
a little
wild.
bit windy, but it's not going to be cold and rainy, all that kind of stuff. That could help Miami a bit. Malachi Toney, the freshman, the 17-year-old, who's been amazing. I believe he doesn't have a drop all season, and they have been going to him in loads down the stretch this year. So how is A&M going to match up with him and handle him? And can Ruben Bain mess with Marcel Reed, get him off schedule, and do that kind of stuff? That's what I'm looking for here. So
like you said, you mentioned the physicality.
Okay.
I think it's going to be tough sledding here for both of these teams. I don't know what the over under here is. I'm guessing like 42, 44, something like that. But I do like the under in this game. I'm going to go with A&M because I trust them at home.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned Miami. I just think we saw last year, these crowds made a huge difference, and I think that's going to be the case here. We got to get Manny Navarro. He's going to be covering it for us. We got to get him to Midnight Yell because this is going to be a legendary Midnight Yell.
That's a good point. We haven't done a playoff one. By the way, the over under 51.5. So
really, give me
decent.
I would go way under on that.
Decent amount of points there. I'm good. But to answer the first question, I think both of these teams can win it all because I think they're good enough in the trenches. It's can they get good enough quarterback play to get them there? And depending on the day, I don't know. But in this game, I'm going to go with Texas A&M to win and cover the 3.5 as well. I could very well see Miami winning this game, like without a doubt. I can picture in my head how it happens too. But playoff game, crowd, Miami on the road, not as tested. I'm going to go with the Aggies.